Persona 3 has a really extensive background. It comes from about 4 different series, I think: the Megami Tensei, Shin Megami Tensei, the Persona series, and the Revelation series. And because its background is so extensive, I'm going to completely skip the introduction part and go right into the review. When you first turn the game on, you'll notice that the graphics really aren't that impressive. The movie clip you see, they're just high quality anime, like the stuff you'll see on TV. It's nothing that tries to look extremely realistic like a lot of RPGs do nowadays. And the in-game graphics are more just of a 3D type of anime. It's kind of hard to compare these graphics to other games, since not a lot of games go for the anime kind of graphics. When you first start playing the game, you might find them a bit dull and bland. They're not really visually as appealing as some more recent games. But, once you start to play the game and you get into it, the graphics really fit really well into this game. The character models are really varied. They look really Japanese, in the sense that they all have the big sparkly eyes and the really colorful and goofy shaped hair. The backgrounds they're varied. When you're in the town, the backgrounds will be much better than some of the other backgrounds you see in the game. But when you start climbing the dungeon, you'll notice that the backgrounds get really repetitive, because for every 15 to 20 levels or so, the backgrounds in the dungeon will be completely the same. The soundtrack is on par with the graphics. It's not amazing, but it's not horrible. If you like the Japanese music, you'll probably love this soundtrack. If you don't like Japanese music, then you're probably gonna play most of the game with the sound off, since pretty much every song has lyrics in it, and I'm pretty sure all the lyrics were in Japanese. Most of the songs are rap or hip-hop, so it's kind of hard to distinguish what the words are. They sounded pretty Japanese to my ears. The combat music is some of the best on the soundtrack, and it's some of the best battle music I've ever heard in any RPG. Instead of trying to go for an epic kind of battle, it gives you a really fast-paced rap kind of music, which really speeds up the battle system a lot. Unlike a lot of RPGs, this game has a really fast-paced battle system. In a lot of RPGs, you need to spend a couple minutes on each character's turn trying to strategize, but in this game your actions come out really quickly, maybe one per every 2 seconds. I'm not saying it's thin though, there's a lot of depth to the battle system. It's just the rate that each battle and each turn goes by is really quick. The game is classified as an RPG game, but that's really an understatement. Over half the time in the game you won't be fighting at all. You'll be in more of a simulation kind of game. The game is divided up into days, and each day is divided into 2 parts. You have a morning/afternoon part where you're controlling your character in his school life, and then in the evening you can either continue with his life or you can go into the dungeon and start fighting off the shadows. When you first start playing the game, the simulation part will feel tacked on, because there's not much to it when you first start playing, as you only have a couple of options as to what you can do. But when you start playing a lot of the game and you start finding more people to talk to, you'll uncover these things called social links, which really power up your characters in battle. So each social link is connected to a different type of persona, and the personas are the different types of summons or guardians you have in battle. So when you level up a social link a certain amount of times, it'll gain a level, and then your personas will get stronger according to the level of the social link. A social link is established by hanging around with a certain character for a certain amount of time. Since you can only hang out with one person during the day, you have to be really strategic as to how you want to level up your social links. In the evening, you'll be climbing a dungeon, which is really just a training zone, and while there are boss fights in this dungeon, the storyline doesn't advance much in the dungeon. It'll happen outside of the dungeon in real time on days which have full moons. While the game may feel a little thin, and some parts of it will feel really tacked on at first, when you get really deep into the game, it really flows really perfectly, giving a really unique game experience. The storyline doesn't have as much structure as a lot of other RPGs. You control a character who can stay awake during this time called the dark hour, when normal people go to sleep in these cocoons and don't remember anything. But your character is just told that you should be killing off all these shadows, and that's your main goal. I'm not saying anything else, as it's a potential spoiler. The game is really long too, The main game will take you about 70 to 100 hours, and if you've purchased the recent Persona 3 FES version, you'll get an extra 30 to 50 hours of gameplay. The M rating the ESRB gave this game really is not necessary. I'd easily give it a teen rating, as there's really not a lot of violence, swearing, blood, or anything bad in it. In the end, Persona 3 gets a 9.2 out of 10.